Okay. All right. Here we go. I believe we are open now. Sorry, I'm trying to get used to. Yeah, perfect. I'm trying to get used to the whole streaming thing. I'm using StreamYards and it's new to me, so I wasn't in for the first couple seconds of this, but we're live. Um, Welcome to the channel. I'm Joey, also known as Joey Two Bits or JoJo the Juice Man. Um, Today we're going to start off with Heisman talks just because the Heisman ceremony's tomorrow. And we'll start off first just to get the things out of the way. I'm not a professional, so I don't do anything in the football world other than watch football. So if you disagree with me or I sound biased, it's because I probably am. Trask for Heisman, yes sir, yes sir. So I'm a Florida fan. I'm a Dolphin fan. On here, we're going to have a lot of Florida fans just because that's my friend group. We're going to have Jacksonville Jaguar fans. We're going to have um, Patriot fans and Steelers fans. We'll even also have one dude who's like a Giant fan, a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, a Tampa Bay fan, and a New York. Did I say Giants? Yeah, so basically he has a bunch of teams, and he's a Florida State fan. So just to get things out of the way, I am biased, and I'm gonna keep myself biased because this is a group of friends having discussions, and that includes you guys, whoever the viewers are. So, without further ado, let's get into the Heisman talk. If I can figure out how to do this, share screen. Let's share this one. All right. You also have to stick with me because I'm new to this. So these are the four Heisman finalists. Tomorrow at 7, they will be announcing. So basically, my opinion on this is Trevor Lawrence is just a name. He should not be in there. If he receives more than one first place vote, there's a problem. Um, Mac Jones is getting a lot of hype right now, but in my opinion, he's not the best Alabama player, and he's not the best quarterback or most deserving quarterback to be Heisman. Yes, I am a Florida Gator fan, so you know I got to give it to my boy Kyle Trask, um, just because of what he's doing with the weapons he has. On top of leading statistically almost every single quarterback stat other than QBR. Yes, the bowl game looked like crap. That's because they abandoned him. All his receiving weapons abandoned him, and he's playing with third stringers that he's never thrown to. Chemistry's off. They look like they haven't played anything. So taking that game out of it, you look at every other game, and he beats Mac Jones in every single category. If just looking at stats, every single category other than interceptions, he has 2 more interceptions, which is only I think he only has 6 still in the regular season and SEC championship game, and QBR, which is QBR is a couple points less, and I guess his completion percentage is slightly lower, but he's leading in. He's got I think 15 more touchdowns. This is off the top of my head. 15 more touchdowns and over 400 more yards than Mac Jones if you take out the bowl games and just do the SEC championship and the whole regular season. Um, but I don't think Kyle Trask is the most deserving. I left one guy out on purpose, Devonta Smith. What he's doing at the wide receiver position is incredible. He dominates games. I mean, if if Kyle Trask was on Alabama, I'd be saying the same thing. Kyle Trask would be, you know, very, very good, just like Mac Jones being very efficient right now. But it's because he has weapons like Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is putting up amazing numbers. I understand it's a quarterback trophy, but I've got to give it to Devonta Smith. Najee Harris is nice. Nothing like Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is the most deserving. Kyle Trask second, and then Mac Jones third, I guess, if we're not putting Devonta Smith in there. Trevor Lawrence shouldn't even be up here. It's kind of disgraceful that he's up there when he's played 6 games. You know, But who I actually think is going to win it is Devonta. I think he is the most deserving. But could get interesting having two Alabama players up here. He's leading in accuracy, completion percentage, and he's leading in QBR. So what happens if, say, Devonta Smith gets half of the first place votes, Mac Jones gets 15% of it, and Kyle Trask gets a bunch more as well? It could get interesting. Kyle Trask could sneak in there and get it, and he'd be deserving of it, not as deserving as Devonta, but he could sneak in there and get the trophy just because they'll be splitting votes. It's happened before. I don't remember exactly when, but I saw it on there. There was 3 finalists in there, and they all split votes, and then the 4th person ended up getting it. So it'll be interesting. I think Devonta will get it though. So Heisman talk is over. Oh, look at that. That's perfect. Let's just go back to me for a little bit. That's who I think is going to win the Heisman, and that is who I've got in the Heisman race. I think 2 of them shouldn't be there, but that's it. Super Brand. Hey, what's up, Brandon? How are you? All right. So Heisman talk's over. Guess the next thing to talk about is just do a little mock draft. It's Mock Draft Monday. I think every Monday we're going to do some mock drafts. I think next week I might have someone on here with me and we'll alternate picks. If not, I might put some trades in there. But this time we're just going to do one round. I'm going to pick for every single team. Again, I'm not an expert, so if you're a fan of one of these teams, I might give you a player you don't agree with, and that's okay. You can put it in the comments. We can argue about it. So without further ado, let's go this way and shoot. Not really sure how to do this. Okay, let's see. Share screen. Yeah, no, we're not doing trade downs this time. All right. I'm not going to be able to see chat while I do this the entire time, but yeah, so Mr. Gator, I assume, is Austin. And if so, Austin's another guy that will be on here with us occasionally. And I love him. He's basically my brother. But we're both Florida fans. We're both Dolphin fans. So we argue a lot about what we think the best situation is for both of those teams. So without further ado, let's get into this. I'll occasionally switch over after probably 5 picks or something. Look at the chat, see if anyone's saying anything, but we'll get straight into it. So we're going to do one round only. We're just going to use their regular board. This was my board from last year. We're not going to look at that. Maybe one day. All right, so first team up here is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So one of my friends who is also going to occasionally get on and talk with us, he is a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, and he loves Gardner Minshew. I love Gardner Minshew too, but they are not trading out of this pick. Especially, I mean, with a new coach, a new general manager. Gardner Minshew's nice, but they get to start over and pick their own quarterback. Whoever they feel can fit their scheme the best, whoever they feel can lead the franchise the best, they'll pick them. So a lot of teams, a lot of people out there are saying that Urban Meyer is in talks. Everyone knows Urban Meyer coached for Florida, and then he coached for Ohio State. He coached for Utah and Bowling Green as well. But for this Ohio State, you see there's a quarterback here from Ohio State that he actually recruited when he was in the transfer portal. But I still think even if Urban Meyer goes there, you take the best quarterback available, which everyone's saying is the best quarterback since Andrew Luck. I don't know if he's that good, but I do think he is great. And I don't think that anything could stop him, even a bad organization. So Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 overall. Wow, what a surprise, right? Next, I almost called them the Jacksonville Jets, the New York Jets. So, also hearing things about a big trade's coming. Don't know if that means the Sam Darnold will be traded or they'll trade out of two. But I have to say they're probably just going to trade Sam Darnold because, again, the same situation, a new head coach, a new general manager, or actually they might keep their same general manager, but a new head coach, let him pick his quarterback of the future. If it's someone in the league, they might actually like Sam Darnold and go with him and trade out. I don't think that's going to happen. I think, again, they're going to go with the best quarterback available. For me, that would be Trey Lance, which is way down here. But I also like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields can develop. I don't think he's a finished product yet. I think you need to give him a bunch of RPOs and a bunch of read options his first year. But I think a couple years down the line, he will develop into a good quarterback. So we'll go ahead and just put him there as well. Also, again, since I'm a Florida fan, every single one of these players that I'm going to pick, I have watched at least a little bit of their film. But for the most part, it's just watching football games. So some people like Kyle Pitts down here at 6. I've seen about 25 games of film. Other people like Quiddy Pay, I've seen 1. So kind of going off of what I'm hearing and also what I've seen from film. So that might not be the most accurate. I might be reaching on players. I might be giving people stupid picks, but this is my mock draft, so I'm going to have fun with it. Now the Dolphins. This is my team. So realistically, I'd want to trade out. But since we're not doing trades, we're going to have to pick a player. So we could give a weapon to Tua. We could replace Tua by getting a guy like Zach Wilson, a guy like Trey Lance, or we can give him more protection, get the best tackle prospect, who people are already saying is going to be a Hall of Famer, in Penei Sewell, or help out the defensive side with the run support with Micah Parsons. For me, I think with the offensive line we have, you kind of have to go Penei Sewell here if you're not going to trade out. There's a lot of wide receivers that you can get with the 18th pick, the 35th pick, and the 50th pick. So you got to kind of move Robert Hunt into guard, and then you can have Penei Sewell play one tackle and have Austin Jackson play the other. Hopefully help keep Tua inside the pocket, keep pressure away from him so he can make better decisions. All right, so that was 3 picks. Let's go back, see if anyone's saying anything. Your face is smaller. Whoops, and your face is smaller. 50-50. I don't I don't actually know how to do that, but I'll try. Again, this is my first time using this, so I'm pretty sure I can only do face in the corner or nothing, but we can try. Let's see what I can do here. So if I'm, oh, so you guys are saying you can't see the picks? Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay. So that's Trey, Mr. Gators Trey. Yeah, he'll be on here as well sometimes. Picks are too small. So I can full screen the picks if you guys don't want to see my face. That actually is probably the best thing to do. Look at that. Okay. We're going to roll with that. You guys don't really need to see me on this anyway, so yeah. All right, perfect. So going into the 4th pick, you have the Falcons. They have Matt Ryan at quarterback, and he is due a lot of money for the next, I believe it's 3 years. So a lot of people are saying that they need to get the quarterback of the future. If they do, he's going to either have to sit behind Matt Ryan, or Matt Ryan is going to have to sit behind him, still making $30 million a year. So especially for the next 2 years, they aren't going to be able to cut him without giving up, I think, like $40 million in dead cap, which is so gross. But if they felt like they need to develop a quarterback or they want to pick somebody, I think it would probably be a guy like, I still like Trey Lance better than Zach Wilson. I think right now Zach Wilson's still a one-read quarterback. He's small, and he's not extremely mobile. But I think I'm just going to skip out on quarterback right now. Right now, there's not a value. I think what they'd really like to do is trade back and get a first rounder for next draft, so they can load up 2 first rounders and figure out what they want to do at quarterback right there. So next thing would be getting them another edge rusher, which they've been needing for the past 2 drafts now. So we will go with, I want to go with my man Gregory Rousseau from Miami. He's kind of raw, but he's extremely athletic. He's extremely smart. If you listen to him talk, he's extremely hardworking as well. So I think that Gregory Rousseau especially can develop into a nice pass rusher. So we'll go there. Next would be the Bengals. Yeah, I don't care. No one's watching. It's just the boys. All right. So next pick, sorry, would be the Bengals. Bengals at 5. They really need to get Joe Burrow protection. Joe Burrow is looking nice, other than having to run for his life out there. I think he's the second most sacked quarterback or pressured quarterback, with the first one being in San Francisco, I think is what they were saying. So they need that. They need corner. They probably will get another wide receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round, just because AJ Green's going to be going bye-bye. So they need tackle and interior offensive line. What you could do here if you were them, I'd prefer just getting a strong tackle, just a strong tackle. But so if you want to do that, you can get Christian Darrisaw. If you want a guy that can play inside or outside, you can get Northwestern's Rashawn Slater. He's kind of like the Robert Hunt of last year's draft from Lafayette, where he's performs pretty well outside, but realistically, you would like to play him at guard. That's where he'd probably be above average to almost Pro Bowl level. So, depending on what they want to do here, I assume they probably just want to get a tackle. So I'll give him Darrisaw, even though realistically, they probably want to trade up to get Penei Sewell, or trade back to get extra picks, because Darrisaw here, although I'm a big fan of him, I think he's it's still a little bit of a reach. So, but since there's no trades, we're going to take them. All right, next, this is where it starts to get a little tricky. So, Eagles are a mess. They've got a quarterback that I don't really think is the quarterback of the future, but he's good enough to win them some games and keep them in games right now with Hurts. They need to trade Carson Wentz, free up some cap space, because right now, I believe, as it stands, they're projected to have negative $71 million in cap space going into next year. So they're going to have to restructure contracts or move off some guys like Zach Ertz, the tackle, Lane Johnson. So, and of course, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz said that he'd restructure so they can move him, but if not, they're going to have to make someone eat that contract, and the only real way to do that would be sending a draft pick as well. So, I mean, they could send Carson Wentz and the 2nd round pick to somebody like, the Colts, and the Colts would send back like a 5th and a 6th. I mean, you get Carson Wentz and a pick. All you got to do is eat cap space, and they have the cap space to do it. And Frank Reich, the head coach, was the offensive coordinator, I believe, for Carson Wentz. So he does know the guy. He knows the system. So it might end up happening that way. You never really know. But I've rambled on enough. I think what they really need would be a 3-down linebacker. Micah Parsons, I've seen like one game of him, not even really looking at him. I was looking at the edge rushers, but people like him. They also would need a wide receiver if you get a guy like Jamar Chase, who I'm not a big fan of, Devonta Smith, who I like, but I think is a little too small. But we'll just give them a linebacker, make them happy. So we can pick Michael Parsons or where's my guy Zaven Collins from Tulsa. I like him. We're gonna keep him though because I want the Dolphins to get him at 18. So Micah Parsons. All right. Next, this is another interesting spot because I think Matthew Stafford's gone. I don't think they're gonna hold on to Stafford. I think they're gonna trade him. Probably pick up a first round pick. I wouldn't be surprised if a team, say Frank Reich and Indianapolis Colts don't get Carson Wentz, they could give up 22 for him. Or a team like, don't be surprised if a team like San Francisco tries to move on from Garoppolo and trades 12 for him. 12's a little high. I'd probably just give my second, third, and maybe a third next year, see if that gets them. But you never know. So they might have a bunch of positions open and they might need a quarterback. I'm going to grab them a quarterback. I will give them my boy Trey Lance. Leave Zach Wilson for someone else because I'm not a big Zach Wilson fan. I'm really not. I've seen 2 games of him. He looks okay. They call him the Mormon Manziel, and he kind of plays that way. So that kind of scares me in the top 10. But let's give him Trey Lance. All right, we'll go to pick 10, and then I'll look back at the chat, see if anything cool is happening in there. The Panthers. I have a Panther Panther friend, who was really sad that they got Derek Brown instead of getting Isaiah Simmons. As a Dolphin fan last year, I wanted Isaiah Simmons as well, and then I wanted to get a guy like Jordan Love at 18. So if they were going to go after somebody here and not go after quarterback, because I believe they probably won't, they'll stick with Teddy Bridgewater and PJ Walker for another year and just kind of build around them. They could get offensive line, or they could get a linebacker. Corner, guess they could get one here, but I don't really see them getting one here. So they could either get a guy who's kind of in that Isaiah Simmons role, not as freakish as Isaiah Simmons is, more of a run supporter. But even as I'm saying, more of a run supporter, he's still not the greatest run supporter. It is Owusu Koromoa from Notre Dame. The next tackle prospect is Rashawn Slater, also interior, so that's not bad either. Jeez. I mean, second round, there's a lot of good tackles and interior alignment. So I'm gonna go ahead and give them Wusu. That's the earliest I've mocked Wusu, so that's pretty crazy. All right. They got quarterback as the biggest need here. I disagree, at least for this year. I think they should get Drew Lock a little bit more defensive help. Make him not try to force it downfield as much and let him just grow one more year. I like Drew Lock as a prospect. Obviously, he's not finished. He's shown some good signs. And I think if you're going to get a guy like Zach Wilson or a guy like Kyle Trask or a guy like Mac Jones, compared to Drew Lock, I don't really see the upside there. So I would rather stick with what you got in Drew Lock and use this first round pick on the defensive side. So you got Von Miller and Bradley Chubb as your edge rushers. Von Miller's getting really, really old and not staying very healthy. So you can always get a guy like, not Kwity Paye. I like Kwity Paye, but he's more of a 4-3 defensive end than a 3-4 outside linebacker. So you could get a guy like Joseph Osai, but again, that's kind of a reach. So really, realistically, they would probably trade back here or just pick up a corner. They pick up a corner. Best one available is Patrick Surtain. He kind of does everything well, and also he's got that bloodline with Patrick Surtain being the second Patrick Surtain. His dad was an NFL Pro Bowler for like 10 years. So we'll give him corner. Edge class is kind of deep too. So give him corner, and then give him some offensive line help, maybe second round, which we're not doing this draft. So that's pick 9. Let's do pick 10, and then I'll go check out the chat, see if people are yelling at me yet. Dallas Cowboys, they're going to need offensive line and corner. Also interior defensive line, but we'll stick with the offensive line or corner right now. Realistically, they would want Patrick Surtain to fall, obviously. But you've got a couple decent corners here, kind of unproven. Guys like Eric Stokes, who's kind of a one-year wonder. J.C. Horn, who's pretty physical at the line, but doesn't really stay healthy. And then you got Caleb Farley, who is not really natural to that position. He's just an athlete. So he's still learning the position, still raw, but he's still playing pretty well. They do need help in the secondary. I might just give him Rashawn Slater, though, get him a tackle it. Also a guard mixed in there. No, you know what? We'll go with Caleb Farley. Let them develop the athlete. So I think he has the best upside for a top 10 pick too. So we'll give him Caleb Farley. Let's see what you guys think about that. Oh, are you guys arguing in here? All right, taking a little break. Let's see. I should go back every single pick. That's crazy because I'm missing a lot of chats. All right. Yeah, so we'll switch just to me while I'm looking at chat so people know. Wentz to the Washington football team? Maybe. I think he's a little bit of a crybaby, so I wouldn't want him, and I don't think Ron Rivera would want him. But you never really know, do you? Yeah. I'll start reading these more often. I definitely agree. Because I took 15 minutes there without looking back at chat. So I don't think we'll draft a quarterback that high. I don't know. Patriots might. You never know. Let's see. All right. Drew Lock had a line. He'd be okay. Yeah, I know. I almost got them in offense. Got him Rashawn Slater there, and I figured there are some good interior offensive linemen coming up in the second round and stuff like that. So done a couple of these mock drafts, and it always seems like guards just slip to the second round whenever I do it. So you lost your half. Yeah, I know. I wish you gave Stidham a chance too. You know I'm a Stidham guy. So all right. Let's go back to some drafting. I think every pick or every other pick I'll switch over. So going back to the New York Giants, this is another team I think you could see trade up into the top 5 to get a quarterback. I don't think they're happy with Daniel Jones. I don't think they're happy with his interceptions and his fumbles. So I don't know. I don't know if they want to continue building around him with Joe Judge and who's Jason Garrett is the offensive coordinator. So I think we'll skip. I think we'll skip a quarterback pick here and just go with some other stuff because their defense is a mess. They've got really no one on the defensive side. You've got Julian Love at safety and what's that dude Peppers that played for Michigan? I can't even think of his name. And they're not even that good. Other than that, I don't recall any other defensive guys on there. Dexter Lawrence from Clemson, interior defensive guy. So I can't even think of any of their guys. So that's kind of not good. So they could get an edge guy. That's what it's looking like. They also do need wide receiver help. Linebacker right now is kind of Zaven Collins. That actually might be a nice pick here, but I think we'll start up in the front seven and start up getting a pass rush before anything. So Kwity Paye does actually fit their scheme in 4-3. I believe they're still playing a 4-3. So my boy Kwity Paye, from what I've seen, he looks really good, and what I've heard, he's really good. So let's pick him. And let's look back really quickly. Here you say O-line round 2 for Broncos. I accept. Yes. Yeah, I think second round O-line is what they're going to end up doing. So don't bring up Lawrence, Brandon. You know he's not happy that they're getting Lawrence. Okay, so here it talks about that they need more offensive line help. They also need a corner to replace Richard Sherman, who basically has said that they're not keeping him, which if I was them, I probably wouldn't either. He's been injured half the time anyways, and he's old. So they could move on and they could get a guy like J.C. Horn, who I see if they keep Garoppolo or if they trade for a guy like Matt Stafford or that's really the only realistic guy they trade for. Because I think Minshew's on the trading block as well, but they're not going to trade for him. So if they did keep him, I think J.C. Horn is the guy. But I don't think they'll keep him. The fan base wants Zach Wilson. So if they can get a trade going and I don't know if sitting tight they get Zach Wilson. They might have to trade up, but their team is ready. So they just need a quarterback to do it. So let's give them Zach Wilson. Let's give the people what they want. All right, still talking about Lawrence talk. Nice. So let's see. The Los Angeles Chargers. Bill Belichick's Los Angeles Chargers. They fired Anthony Lynn, so they are going to need another head coach. I've heard a couple little things about Belichick might not wanting to start over and rebuilding with the Patriots and might just go somewhere that has a great quarterback and a bunch of defensive weapons. If so, this is the place. But excuse me, but their owner is cheap, so I don't think he would pay the 10 plus $10 million it would cost to acquire Bill Belichick. So I don't think that's actually plausible. I just said that kind of to poke fun at Brandon, the Patriot fan. So either way, they are going to need to protect Justin Herbert, who's been looking a lot better than Tua this year. So they need outside and inside help on the offensive line. I think that's where my man Rashawn Slater comes in. If you need him to play outside, I think he's going to be a solid guard, or a solid tackle. But I think where he really would shine would be kicked inside to guard. He's not the longest guy, and he's also not the fastest guy. He kind of gets burnt on speed from what I've seen. So kick inside would be nice. So let's give them Rashawn Slater. Worst case, he plays outside and he's average, but I think he could be a Pro Bowler on the inside. Another team that needs interior offense and defensive line help. They also need safety because Harrison. Can't remember the dude's name, but he's getting a little older. But safety is I don't really like the safety class, to be 100% honest with you. From what I've seen, I mean, there's a bunch of second, third round guys, but I don't see the top end talent at safety like you got like the year that Derwin James came out and a couple of those other classes. They're just really not top end talent at the safety position. So we could get them a defensive lineman. We can get them an offensive lineman. A guy like Vera Tucker from USC. He played guard when they had Austin Jackson last year playing that left tackle role. This year he kicked out to left tackle to take over for him, and he's actually performed really well. So he's another guy, just like Rashawn Slater, who I think if you need him to play tackle, he could be at least an average NFL tackle. But inside, he has the opportunity again to be a Pro Bowler. Obviously, not all these guys are going to be Pro Bowlers, but that's kind of something that you aim for. And I think he has the ability if he can develop. So you can always get a guy like that, or my guy Tufele down here. They dropped him a little bit, but Jay Tufele is a really aggressive one technique or three technique. Um, he doesn't really play the five, so he'd have to go to a 4-3 or a 3-4 and just play that one that three technique. So um, yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and just give him Elijah Vera Tucker. How about that? Give him some offensive line help to open up some holes for Dalvin Cook and Matson. Darisaw to the Chargers. Darisaw went earlier. Yeah, so Rashawn Slater went to the Chargers. Darisaw was picked at like 5. Darisaw went to the Bengals, so he's been gone. Yep. You haven't missed anything else other than that. I've just been talking a lot. So I stopped it here because this is Brandon's team. So Brandon, who do you want them to pick here? The Patriots. They need defensive line, tight end, wide receiver. You've got Devonta Smith still available. You've got your boy Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, who I'm not that high on. Defensive lineman, you've got Tufele. I don't know if you'd want Tufele there. Other guys of note, not really very many other guys of note for a top 15 pick. He wants Devonta Smith. I'll give him Devonta. How about that? They need weapons. Devonta's there. Devonta's going to run a 4.37 at the combine. He's good. He needs to put on 15, 20 pounds for me to feel like he's dangerous in the NFL. So we don't get a quarterback because apparently we think Jarrett Stidham's the guy. So to help out Stidham, we get him a weapon, Devonta Smith. This is, the highest I think Belichick's drafted a receiver, but he's probably walking away with the Heisman tomorrow. So I think it's worth the 15th pick. Devonta Smith. All right. Okay. Moving on to pick 16. We are basically halfway there. The Arizona Cardinals need interior offensive line. They need edge rushers and corners because Patrick Peterson's not going to last forever. They also need a new coach. I'm not a Cliff Kingsbury fan. I think this team's actually pretty decent. They just need better coaching. And then you also have Travis Etienne, who's there if they don't want to re-sign Kenyon Drake. He could be the first running back to go. But I actually would like to see them get someone like Javion Hawkins in the 3rd round. I think he would fit their scheme very, very well. So that's kind of something I'm rooting for. So let's stay away from running back for right now. And let's get J.C. Horn, physical corner. Physical, just doesn't stay healthy. Next pick, we have. I might put Pitts to Miami. I don't know. We got 2 picks. Let's see if he gets picked. Let's see. So we've got edge rusher needs because they drafted a guy from Clemson a couple years ago, hasn't panned out. Cleveland Farrell, not really an edge rusher anyways. They run a 4.3. So a guy like Joseph Osai from Texas, physical freak, not extremely strong, but has great burst, is a guy that they might like. Also, they need interior offensive linemen. There's just really not anyone there right now. And then linebacker. And my man Zaven Collins is still there. That's difficult. I think Zaven Collins is a nice fit for them, especially with what they do In run support, he's excellent, and he also is above average in the pass game, dropping back in coverage. And I think there's some better, not better, but I think there's a deep edge class this year. I really do like the edge class. So as much as it pains me with Miami one pick away, I'm gonna give them Zaven Collins. Let's see if Austin's in the chat. He is not. So I'll go ahead and pick the Miami Dolphins pick. First, for third overall, we went ahead and got Penei Sewell. We're gonna keep him. We're gonna put him at left side and see if we can move Austin Jackson to the right side. And now we need a bunch of wide receiver help. We do need linebacker. There are no linebackers here. Maybe in the second round, you can get a guy like Dylan Moses. But really, in the first round, there's no more linebackers that are of worth. And especially, I haven't actually looked at Cameron McGrone, so I'd probably not put him there either. Jabril Cox from LSU has been decent this year. He transferred there from a smaller school. I don't remember if it was JUCO or not. And he looked good this year. Again, I'm not going ahead and doing that. We need weapons. We need weapons. We need weapons. So Kyle Pitts would be amazing. You already know I love myself Kyle Pitts. I really do want to mock him there just because, I mean, if you have Mike Gesicki and Kyle Pitts, you can put Kyle Pitts in the slot. You can put him on the outside for jump ball, fade balls, and you can put him in an inline blocker because he's a better blocker than Gesicki as well. I mean, you look at what Gabe Davis has done this year for Buffalo, playing the outside jump ball guy, touchdown receiver. I think he has 10 touchdowns this year as a rookie, and that's something Kyle Pitts can do as well as blocking on the line. So I do like that. Jalen Waddle's not bad as long as his his ankle is better. I don't really like Jamar Chase that much. He does struggle with drops and concentrated catches, but he is fast and he's 200 pounds. He's like 6'3", 200 pounds and fast. Another guy I really like because we need route runners that can create separation. Excuse me, that was loud. Is Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. He kind of is like man, I don't want to mock him as like a DeAndre Hopkins type because DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Hall of Famer, and I hate, doing player comps as Hall of Famers and stuff like that. So I'm not going to, but he's got the wingspan like Hopkins. He's got route running kind of like Juju. As you can see, he's probably a great slot guy, and that's kind of all he's going to be. I can't go away from him. I'm picking Kyle Pitts, man. I'm picking him. He's not going to last to 18. He's definitely not. But if he does, I will be so freaking happy, man. Yeah, Pitts is a top 10 pick. Pitts is going in the top 10. Yeah. So, but in this mock draft, he's going here. So, all right. Teams that would get him. Man. I mean, Lions have Hawkinson. I honestly could see him going to the Panthers. Just getting another offensive weapon. They need another tight end. They don't really have a true tight end. Who's another team? I don't know if Ingram's contract is up soon, but if it is, then maybe the Giants. Even if not, I could see him going to the Giants as well. Just giving him a big body, sure-handed receiver, as well as an inline blocker in Kyle Pitts. And then you can run 12 personnel. You don't have to only run him and not Ingram, or only run Ingram and not him. Run 12 personnel. It doesn't matter. If not there, I mean, instead of getting Devonta Smith, Patriots could get him. So, I mean, there's a bunch of teams that could use a tight end, and if not, I'd be happy to grab them. So, Yeah, I think they'll re-sign Dak. I do. I think they feel bad, and Jerry Jones kind of liked him anyways. Plus, since he's coming off an injury, they can kind of lowball him a little bit. Give him, I say lowball him, but they'll give him $30 to $33 million anyways. So, is it really lowballing? All right, the Washington football team. They've kind of screwed themselves here. They're one of the teams that kind of screwed themselves by um, not even just somehow falling into the playoffs at 7-9 because their division is absolutely trash. You've got a team like the Miami Dolphins picking before you that are 10-6 and not in the playoffs. They failed to make the playoffs, but on the NFC side, you've got 7-9, and then one pick later, you've got the 8-8 Chicago Bears, both in the NFC for some reason. If I'm, I don't know, if I'm the owners or anyone in the rule committee, I'm probably going to say you have to at least go 8-8 to make the playoffs. So if not, sorry, you don't make the playoffs. If you go 8-8, congratulations, like the Bears did, they can make the playoffs at 8-8, whatever. But if you should forfeit your right if your division can't have one team go 500. You know, when you've got other teams that are winning 10 games being left out of the playoffs, even after it's expanded to 7, it's crazy. So, yeah, 12 personnel with Ingram, Pitts, and Saquon Barkley would be incredible. So, all right, let's go back to the pick. I've done a little bit of ranting and venting about the playoff system. And they need another weapon. They also need a quarterback. Because Alex Smith is probably not coming back this year unless it's on a coaching staff. They don't have Dwayne Haskins because they cut him, which rightfully so. And then they have Kyle Allen, who is going to be a 15-year backup in the NFL. So you look at quarterbacks, you got a guy like Kyle Trask, Mac Jones, Desmond Ridder, Jamie Newman. Those are really the only guys I'd see going in the first 4 rounds. And even that's kind of someone that kind of fits that scheme, because he does like doing RPOs and rollouts and read options and stuff like that. Ron Rivera does. And I think they have Jack Del Rio as their offensive coordinator. So it'd be a guy like Desmond Ridder or Jamie Newman. At this point, you can also get a guy like Kellen Mond, but they're not first-round guys. So they'll get a quarterback later on in this draft. They'll trade up for a quarterback, or they'll skip quarterback entirely and get a quarterback next year, or trade for a guy like Minshew. I could imagine them bringing in Minshew. Yeah, if the football team wins the Super Bowl, I'll eat my words, definitely, but they're not going to. So, so skipping quarterback for right now, and attacking other needs. They need better offensive linemen, but they need weapons. They've got Terry McLaurin, and Terry McLaurin. Other than that, I mean, we've got Steven Sims, who I think was he was a rugby player or a lacrosse player or something like that a couple years ago, and he not walked on, but he made the tryouts. I don't even know if he's on the active roster. I honestly don't know who any of their other wide receivers are other than Terry McLaurin. I might be blanking, but they've got Antonio Gibson is basically the number 2 wide receiver, and he's their starting running back. And they have J.D. McKissick, who's also a running back, is their 3rd string wide receiver. If you look at targets on that team, I think J.D. McKissick has the 2nd most targets behind Terry McLaurin, and then Antonio Gibson has the 3rd. So they need weapons. Terry McLaurin's a good route runner, has okay speed, great hands. So they need a speed guy. Again, I'm skipping over Jamar Chase because I really am not a Jamar Chase fan. So they need a speed guy, someone to stretch the field. Jalen Waddle is that guy. He's not just speed; he runs quick routes as well. But he's going to be their deep ball threat and stretch the field so safeties can't creep up. So we'll give them. Some people might have wanted a tackle there. I I think tackle is going to last. So this is kind of deep wide receiver top, and then after that it kind of falls off. So get them their wide receiver while they can. Quarterback at 20 for the Chicago Bears, except there's really no quarterback worth it here. You can get a guy like Kyle Trask, but Chicago plays in the cold. Kyle Trask's arm is not very strong. His hands are also small, and he comes from Texas and has played at Florida, so he's not used to throwing a football in cold weather. So he's not the guy. Mac Jones, his arm's a little bit stronger, but again, if you bring Mac Jones there, honestly, the first year he might not even beat out Mitchell Trubisky, and then you have a problem. I do think Mac Jones will develop, but in the first round, I don't see it at all. So they're trading up, or they're trading back and then trading up next year. But if they don't come out of this year in free agency and the draft with a quarterback, their fan base is going to go nuts. But obviously we can't trade, so we're going to just get them either wide receiver help because Allen Robinson's refusing to stay there, which I don't blame him. He needs to get a quarterback. He went from Blake Bortles to an even worse situation with Mitchell Trubisky. So this man is a great receiver and has never had a quarterback. So he'll probably go somewhere that actually has a quarterback and needs weapons. I don't even know where that would be, but unless he goes to somewhere like Green Bay. But let's just give him another guy. I like Eichenberg. I don't know if he'll ever get any better than he is right now, which right now he's a solid tackle. Jalen Mayfield, again, I haven't really watched much Michigan, so I'm not going to put him here. And then you got a guy like Samuel Cosme, who I've heard a lot of good things about his development. He's played for multiple years, but they say every year he gets better and better. Worst case is you play him inside because he's extremely strong. So it's really no harm, no foul for them. You can either do that or you can get him a weapon. And I think we will give them. Let's give them a tackle. I think they can get an offensive lineman here just because I haven't really been giving out too many tackles. So Samuel Cosme, if you're a Bears fan, sorry. Yeah, exactly. Align and lean on David Montgomery. Yes, sir. Yeah, I agree with that completely, Trey. David Montgomery's turned into the real deal. I was kind of nervous about him, but all right. Jacksonville Jaguars, first overall pick. They took Trevor Lawrence. He's going to battle it out with Minshew, or they'll trade Minshew for a second and a fourth or something. Now they need tight end, tackle, or what Trey usually says is they need edge, man. They need edge. So, Trey, who are you looking for here? Weapons. Okay. Who's your favorite weapon? At tight end, there's still Pat Freiermuth, and there's still Brevin Jordan from Miami. At wide receivers, let's pull up just wide receivers so he gets a good look at that. Got a guy like Jamar Chase. Speed, height, weight, speed is good, but I'm worried about his catching. Rashad Bateman, a little bit slower, but has extremely long arms and great route running. Terrence Marshall, I'm not very high on. You notice I don't really like the LSU guys. A guy like Kadarius freaking Toney, who play a bunch of positions for you. Olave looked nice. Yeah, I do like Olave. I think he'll last into your first, second round pick though. So you could double up on get a wide receiver or Pat Freiermuth here, and then get like Olave or Kadarius Toney at that 201 spot. But if you want Olave, we can give you Olave. I do like Chris Olave. He's fast. He's still tall. I think he's 6'1" with 4.3 speed. So yeah, let's give him Olave. Let's get him a field stretcher along with DJ Chark. Chark's tall and fast. Olave's not as tall, but he's got enough size on him. He's not a short guy. Like Rondale Moore's like 5'9", 5'8". So some speed to go along with. You just give me some pass rusher. No, Rousseau was gone at like 4. Yeah, so sorry. Next time. Make up your mind, man. Next time we'll give you a pass rusher. Um, is Osai still here? Or did I already mock him? Yeah, so Joseph Osai's still there. You probably would end up taking a guy like Osai. So we'll just pretend Osai was there, or this guy from Oregon State, which I haven't seen a lick of film on. So, all right, the Colts. They're not going to take a quarterback. I think they trade for one, like Matthew Stafford, Gardner Minshew. I don't see there. Who's the other quarterback? Garoppolo, and then there's one other guy I said was going to get traded. What the heck, man? Oh, Daniel Jones. No, they're not going to trade for Daniel Jones. Oh, Carson Wentz. Duh. Okay. Yeah, so Carson Wentz probably there. If not, Matthew Stafford. That's great. So no quarterback being mocked there. Instead, we're going to stick on some positions that are weak. But when I say weak, not very weak, because this team is pretty loaded and pretty stacked at all the important positions. So you can get a corner for them. I mean, because the last corners they've gotten haven't really panned out very well. They can get a guy like Eric Stokes, who I really like, but is also really raw. He can play outside or inside. Um, they also could get a weapon because T.Y. Hilton isn't, you know, T.Y. Hilton isn't the youngest cat. He probably only has a couple more years of prime before he's just a nice veteran who is used as a third guy. They've got Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman. They just drafted last year. And I think Desmond Patton from Washington they got too, but he's more of like a tight end or a big slot guy. So let's give him another weapon. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, let's bring Wentz to Indianapolis with Jonathan Taylor and Mac. Yeah, Marlon Mack as the guys. Give him another weapon, because they always complained at the Eagles that he didn't have enough weapons. Give him Jamar Chase. Not the biggest Jamar Chase guy, but in the back end of this round, with Rashad Bateman being the only other guy there. I like Rashad Bateman more than Chase, but Chase could develop into yeah, we'll just give him Chase, whatever. All right. So at 23 with the Cleveland Browns, they do need another edge rusher or linebacker because they got rid of my boy JT Hassel. And they've had a bunch of injuries this year. So just what you're seeing on film or when you're watching the NFL games right now, they have, I think, a cornerback went down, a safety went down, a linebacker went down, and I think one of their defensive tackles did as well. So what you're seeing right now is not really the full team, but they definitely do need another edge rusher to go along with Myles Garrett. They run a 4-3 in the system they do right now. So Joseph Osai is a great edge rusher, has trouble standing up and dropping into pass coverage, but again, he's not a scheme fit, so we'll just have to skip over him. I think he would be picked already, but let's pass over and see what else we have at the edge position. We can read up on him. I don't actually know. Nope. Again, he's a 3-4 edge. Ojulari is a 3-4 as well. So really, right now, you can go with two guys. We'll skip over Jalen Phillips because I'm not really comfortable with him. He transferred in. He's kind of a one-year guy there, and he hasn't really been able to stay healthy anywhere he goes. So we got a guy like Jason Owens, extremely athletically gifted and still raw. So you can bring in a guy like him. He can be taught by Myles Garrett and kind of developing. He's not going to have double teams. so he's not going to have a hard time his first year. Or you can bring in a guy who athletically is not as pretty, but his technique and mechanics are amazing. And Patrick Jones. If you ever watch Pittsburgh play, you've got to watch this guy because he'll jump off the screen just with the multiple pass rush moves he has. He can hit you with spins. He can hit you with ripping poles. He's got plenty of things. He can bull rush. He can finesse you. That's a guy I really like. Um, and with the team they have, they kind of don't need to miss on any more first round picks. They always miss on the first round picks. This guy might not ever be a Pro Bowler, but he probably is going to be. I think he's a can't miss, average to above average starting edge, and that's all you really need when you got a guy like Myles Garrett on the other side. Um, the only other pick we could do is pick a guy like Sean Wade or Eric Stokes at corner here to go along with Greedy Williams, but um, I really like I really like Patrick Jones, so I kind of want to mock him in the first round. So that's where that's going. Oh, Toby joined the chat. Nice. Push-ups. Just did 24 and about to puke. Yeah, I think I could probably do 35 before I really give out. But around 20 is kind of where I'd want to stop. So, all right. Sorry, Toby, we missed like 3 of your teams already. But don't worry, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming up. So at least one of your 6 teams you can find a pick for. So that's good. Going into the Titans, who, along with the Colts, I think have kind of top to bottom the most solid roster in the NFL. And by solid, I mean like every single player that you go up against, whether it's their first team or second team, is going to be extremely disciplined and at least average. Now they're not like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Packers or even the Saints, I guess, that have a bunch of stars on their team. They don't really have a bunch of stars other than Derrick Henry. They just have and I guess AJ Brown's a rising star. Other than those guys, though, it's really just a bunch of above average players playing together as a unit, and that's something that's great. So, mock into them is kind of, like a GM's dream because you really get to pick best player available. There's no weak positions on the roster. There are positions that they could want to get better at, but it's not as if, you really have to target, say, outside linebacker, and if you can't get a 4-3 outside linebacker and you have to reach for one, it's going to mess up your whole draft. They can kind of go with whatever they want. Uh, so I mean, they could use edge because I think one of their edge rushers is coming up on having to renegotiate the contract. They got Jeffrey Simmons on the inside, who is just coming into his own and is a physical freak. So they don't really need inside defensive linemen, other than maybe a second one. I think they run a 4-3. You can always give them another wide receiver to go along with AJ Brown, but who I really want to mock here, because if you're the Titans and Mike Vrabel, and you want to piss off the rest of the league, there's one player you get here that is going to piss off the rest of the league. I don't know if any of you guys can guess it. Yeah, Toby left. What a fake friend. All right, so time's up. If you want to put in chat who you think I'm talking about, you can go ahead and do it now. But I will mock the player I'm thinking of right now. So if you are the Tennessee Titans and you want to piss off the rest of the league, you just had Derrick Henry rush for 2,000 yards. In December, I think he rushed for 1,200 alone. You get Najee freaking Harris to back up with him. That 1-2 punch. I know that they got. Oh man, I really like him. They got this other running back in one of the later rounds who's kind of a change-up pace guy. He's like 5'10", 200 pounds. He's not very physical, but he's more fast back. That they can use as a change of pace as he develops. But right now, man, get Najee freaking Harris. Yeah, ETN was close. Yep, that's right, Brandon. Najee freaking Harris, man. He's Derrick Henry, except not as big, not as physical. Probably the same speed. They're both probably 255, 255, 455, 46 guys. But I mean, Najee's got great hands, great vision, and I think Derrick Henry's on a franchise tag right now, so you could bring him in for another 2-year deal. But he is getting older; his knees are getting kind of, you know, ran out. So you run him into the dirt, and when he gets tired or he gets too old, put Najee Harris in. Keep pounding the freaking rock. That's what they need to do. That's what Mike Vrabel wants to do. So if Toby's still in here, he can make his pick for the Tampa Bay Bucks. But looks like he's not. Yeah, Henry Light. Yes, he is definitely Henry Light. Diet Dr. Henry. Yes, Najee Harris is Diet Dr. Henry. I like that. All right, so it looks like Toby popped in for a second just to make fun of the Dolphins, and then he left. So we are going to mock one of my favorite mocks to give to the Bucks right here. They've got Tom Brady, they've got Vita Vea on the inside, and they've got a couple decent linebackers. They could go for another linebacker to go with Devin White because Levante David is on an expiring contract. I believe it's up this year. So at the end of the year, they're going to have to find a replacement for him or bring him back. He is 31 years old. So you could be looking for they run a 3-4. So you could be looking for a 3-4 second middle linebacker. Like Nick Bolton is another good pick there. Dylan Moses is a guy who really fell off this year. People had him mocked in the top 10 before the year started, and he's just struggled this year. Not looking very hot, but he could come back. So they could do that, or they could look towards the future. Chris Godwin is on an expiring contract as well. They could bring him back or get a guy like Rashad Bateman, take his place. A guy like Kadarius Toney or J2 Fele to come back in and match up with Vita Vea and be an offensive guard's nightmare. Or we can go ahead and mock Mac Jones to him. I think Mac Jones has better kind of natural gifts than Kyle Trask does. And for the system that, let's see if I'm getting hate in here. The system that Bruce Arians runs, Mac Jones fits it better than Kyle Trask. I would love to keep Kyle Trask in Florida. He's a warm weather quarterback. But Mac Jones sitting behind Tom Brady for 1 year and learning how to go through progressions and read defenses, I think would really help him. I don't think he's a first round guy, but I would not be surprised if someone wanted to get him, get the fifth year with him, and would go with a guy like Mac Jones. So I got Mac Jones going there. I really do like that position for him. That's probably the best position that you would see him end up in, would be a place like that, or honestly, think a place like that, or just a place like the Raiders, sit behind Derek Carr for a year or two and then take over. But I don't think he should start year one. I really don't. All right, going to the Ravens, and they're another team that they need their offensive line to be good, and they need their defensive line to be good. That's kind of how they win football games, is by owning the trenches. So Offensive line's always a good play for them. Defensive line's definitely a good play for them. I think Matthew Judon is also their edge rusher, is also on an expiring contract up this year. So edge rusher probably is the play. They run a 3-4, and Joseph Osai has slipped to 26. I can see Joseph Osai going there if he's still there. So we're going to give him Joseph Osai. Only a couple picks left. So we'll kind of speed it up just a little bit. And he has Evans and Godwin, so it's like Waddle and Smith. Yes, exactly. They'd have to re-sign Godwin, but I could see them re-signing Godwin. And you also have Antonio Brown to play the slot. You've got a couple good tight ends as well. Yeah, Bucks take a complimentary running back. They could take a guy like ETN. He knows how to block. He's got good hands. You know how Tom Brady likes a running back that can catch out the backfield and likes a running back that can pass protect. So a guy like ETN wouldn't be too surprising there either. But yes, exactly. A quarterback to sit behind Tom is the way I saw it. So that's what I ended up putting in there. Yeah, probably not in the first round, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. Yeah. No, Fournette cannot. Fournette can't pass block, and that's the funniest thing. That's why whenever he went over there, I'm like, there's no way he's going to get playing time with Tom Brady at quarterback. He will refuse to have a running back that can't pass block take over and play a lot. So moving back onto the Jets. Jets ended up taking Justin Fields, right? Yes. We ended up giving him Justin Fields. I don't know who the coach is going to be, but I think he has the athleticism that first year he can be a Deshaun Watson and make up for not being able to diagnose the defense or go through progressions as well. So I think he's better than Zach Wilson and Trey Lance as well. So that's why I picked him there. Going to their second pick, they could get him another weapon. They could get him offensive lineman, or they could help out the defense that needs a lot of help. This pick is the one that they got for trading Jamal Adams. So, I mean, we have a corner in Eric Stokes here, who I really do like him. I think he's better than his, who's the other guy? The other corner with him, Campbell. Yeah, Tyson Campbell, who was at Georgia. He's kind of struggled. Eric Stokes can kind of do it all. He can tackle a little bit. He's really better playing the outside, but he's shown that he can also play a little bit of nickel. So you can get them a corner. You can also get them a linebacker, someone like Dylan Moses or Nick Bolton from Missouri is a guy that's kind of shot up boards. But with Liam Eichenberg still kind of sitting there, that'd be kind of nice to put a guy like him or a guy like Alex Leatherwood on the opposite side of Mekhi Becton to, block for your franchise quarterback. Because you don't want to end up in a Bengals situation where you draft a guy and he's succeeding and you end up getting him hurt like they did. So I'm going to give him Alex Leatherwood. I think he's a solid right tackle. You already have Mekhi Becton on the left side, so you're not going to have to change up anyone's stances. If anyone has played offensive line, you know that going from the left side to the right side is not as easy as just switching sides and switching feet. There's pass protection calls on top of just the muscle memory of dropping back, kicking back with one foot and switching to the other. Everything's backwards and it's not as easy as just switching. So a guy like Alex Leatherwood helps because he's a natural left side guy. And I think worst case, you move him into guard for the first year, let him develop at NFL speed, let him put a little bit more size on him, and he can be your average to above average starting tackle. I think this is another can't miss because worst case he's inside and he's a pretty good guard. So I just don't see him being a 4-time All-Pro guy or wearing a gold jacket at the end of his career. But I think he'd have a long 10-year career as a above average starting tackle. So Alex Leatherwood's the pick for the Jets. Yeah, no, their secondary is very bad, and that's why I wanted to get them a corner. But yes, their entire team is bad, and I don't want them to ruin. I don't want them to ruin Trevor Lawrence because he is kind of skinny still by just giving up a bunch of pass protection. So that's why I went there. Now Rashad Bateman is still on the board. Um, I I didn't do that on purpose, but I did kind of in the back of my mind hope that he fell to 28 because Rashad Bateman really is Juju-esque, just with longer hands. He's crisp route runner. He's not the fastest guy, but he can get some separation. He can play inside or outside, but he's probably more of an inside slot guy. Um, and Juju's contract is up this year. They have Chase Claypool that can stretch the defense on the outside. They have Deontay Thompson that can play the other way. You could always get a guy to take over for Big Ben. But in this draft right here, I mean, the only guy that's really worth it would be Kyle Trask. And again, I don't really see it being that worth it right here. I mean, because they also need offensive linemen. You can get them an interior offensive lineman because Marquise Pouncey is getting old, or you can get them a tackle because they're struggling at tackle right now as well. So they're kind of in a pinch. I think Big Ben has another year, and they probably want to just try to go for a Super Bowl run before having a restart. So um, I think wide receiver is the play. Running back, because James Conner is also on a contract year, could be a play, especially with ETN still sitting there. They have drafted Benny Snell and the other dude. I can't recall his name, but shoot, they drafted other guys at running back that I think could fill in at least right now. And running backs are plenty full in this draft. Got a bunch of third, fourth round guys. So, yeah, good night, Brandon. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna continue doing this. I think we're gonna have another one on Friday. So, bye. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna give them their Juju, who's probably better. I think Rashad Bateman's gonna be better than Juju. Is the thing. So we'll give him Rashad Bateman. Or pause for a second. Should we give him Eric Stokes? Because Joe Hayden is getting old. You can't do this for much longer. This is where it gets hard. People will hate me if I do Rashad Bateman, especially Tyler, I think. So I will do Rashad Bateman. Oh well, right? The Saints could get a quarterback, but I think Jameis Winston is what I'm hearing they're gonna re-sign him as the backup. Saints do need more weapons because all they have is Michael Thomas. They also need linebacker. Nick Bolton would be great here. I want to give him another wide receiver, and I want to give him Kadarius Toney. Use another gadget. I mean, you're gonna have Taysom Hill, and Kadarius Toney can line up in the backfield or wide receiver. And I have never seen a player contort their body and stay balanced from contact as well as he does. And he's cleaned up his route running as well. So he's a better route runner. Let's give Kadarius Toney to the Saints. Jameis Winston Saints. I'm calling it now. Jameis Winston Saints. 3 picks left. 3 picks left. O-line to protect Big Ben Jr. Let's see what the chat has to say. Mac Jones to Tampa. Yes, sir. Mac Jones to Tampa. Take over. Sit behind Tom Brady for a year and learn from him. Take over. Side effects of squatting 400 and weighing 160. Yeah, just jumping off tackles. And then Travis Etienne isn't taken in the first round. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, last year everyone was talking about the how amazing these wide running backs were last year, and you saw one Clyde Edwards-Helaire taken in the first round. Everyone else fallen. So, I mean, you never know. I think the league has learned that running backs are pretty plentiful, and you really only get a couple years out of them. So, let's move on to the Buffalo Bills, who I think, if not the Chiefs, I think the Buffalo Bills. Whoever wins the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl. I think Bills are my second favorite. Third favorite would probably be the Bucks, and then the Saints. But I think those are the only four teams that really have a shot. You got Green Bay, but they're too weak against the run. If they go up against a team like Buffalo, who just pounds it down throats, or I guess in the NFC, there's really no. I mean, if they get matched up with the Ravens, I guess there's really no NFC team that's in the playoffs right now that can pound it. So, or what if they go up against the Bears? David Montgomery goes after them. All right, so who did I think? So last time I did a mock draft, I got Owusu Koramoah to fall instead of drafting him. Where did I even draft him? At 8. Yeah, last time I got him to fall all the way to 30, and get him with Tremaine Edmonds there to have a bunch of quick linebackers, but that's not the case right now. So another corner to go with Tre'Davious White, because they have Josh Norman as their number 2, and Josh Norman is so bad. He holds the entire time. He's not fast. He's not aggressive. He can't run support. So Eric Stokes is a guy. Worst case is you move him into the nickel. He can play the nickel, but he's better up against number 1 receivers. So I think that will be nice for them. All right, Green Bay, you can get a weapon to go along with Devontae Adams, or you can get some defensive help. Both corner, secondary help, and wide receiver, Aaron Rodgers and the fans have been calling for. Wide receiver, the guy that can complement Devontae Adams' route running. Rondale Moore, who's injury prone. I do like Rondale, though. Yeah, this is kind of where wide receivers fall off. Terrence Marshall, I'm not a fan of. I'm not going to put them through that. I don't think they're going to re-sign their running back now, which I can't think of his name. But they're not going to get one because they got A.J. Dillon. Aaron Jones. So they could re-sign Aaron Jones, but I don't really see him re-signing Aaron Jones. Linebacker to replace Milano. Yeah, linebackers to replace Milano would be nice. Probably second round, though. They could get Dylan Moses in the second. I think he'll probably be there in the back of the second. You think James Skalski's taken in the first round? Oh, dang. I should give him James Skalski, shouldn't I? Skalski. Look at that. My boy, James Skalski. No, I think James Skalski is taken in the first round. That's not a joke. The only thing is I don't think he's taken in the first round of the NFL draft. I think he's taken in the first round of the XFL draft. So Amon-Ra, Packers love them. Weird names. Yeah, they have his brother, Equanimous St. Brown. So they could go for a guy like Amon-Ra, but I just don't. I don't see it. Apparently he's really good though. They had who was the wide receiver? Michael Pittman, and who was the other guy they had at USC? I think they say it in here. No, they don't even say it. So, well, they had a couple wide receivers that kind of were playing in front of him. So, but I think cornerback is probably the play here, unless you want to pair up the brothers, right? Let's pair up the brothers. How nice would that be? We'll pair up the brothers. You guys like that? Oh, thanks for subscribing. That's awesome. I appreciate it. All right, last pick of the 2021 first round of the NFL draft. They say that they need wide receiver help. Um, I know Sammy Watkins and Demarcus Robinson are up on their contracts. I think Sammy Watkins wants to stay. I do. I think he wants to stay. I think he likes being the second and third option because he's not having to go up against cornerback ones, and he's getting a good amount of money there anyways, and he's winning Super Bowls. So I do think he enjoys Kansas City. I think he'll re-sign for a couple more years on a lower contract. I don't think wide receivers to play for them. I think it's definitely interior offensive line. It's crazy that Jalen Mayfield and Liam Eichenberg have lasted this long and are going to last past the first round. Um, bless you. Are going to last past the first round. Maybe at 201, um, the Jacksonville Jaguars can get them. Someone to pair up. But right now it's defensive line to go up with Chris Jones or interior offensive line. So Creed Humphrey is nice, but he's just a center. I don't know if they need really a center. I would go with a guy like, again, Josh Myers is also a center. Trey Smith is a very tall interior offensive lineman who can move outside, but I don't think he is fast enough, and I think that's why Tennessee has him playing inside. I also don't like that he draws a bunch of penalties. Wyatt Davis is a guy who has kind of impressed me, but again, he's sitting inside with Petit Fier playing his right tackle and Josh Myers playing his center. So he's sitting in between those two guys. Landon Dickerson is also a center, but he's really nice. We'll just give him Wyatt Davis because I don't like Trey Smith at all. Yeah. It's either that or they get a linebacker, and I don't think I want to give him a linebacker. What do you guys say? Kelsey's washed. Get him a tight end. Kelsey's washed. He's okay. Yeah, I was about to say he's leading the tight ends in receiving yards. Okay. Yeah, let's get him Pat Fryermuth to go along with that. How about that? No, we'll just give him Wyatt Davis and finish out this mock draft. Awesome. So we finished the mock draft. It only took freaking hour and a half. So just to review, we got Jacksonville Jaguars taking Lawrence. Quarterback goes. A couple edge guys. Let's see. Look at that. The New York Giants. They get a nice edge rusher. I know you're wondering about that, Toby. Patriots go and get Devonta Smith, even though Kyle Pitts is still on the board. One of these two teams is trading up. I don't know which one it is, but on this one, obviously, they couldn't trade up. Chris Olave to the Jaguars, which now we know really needed to just be Joseph Osai. Oh, well, next time, right? We'll do another mock draft on next Monday. So, and that tops out Kadarius Toney at 29. Those are kind of the big names that have gone. So you already messed up with the 101. All right. Well, next mock draft, you can join me and you can take odds and I'll take evens, and you can take Penei Sewell at 101. Oh yeah, we can mess up the entire draft. So all right, that has been it. I was gonna what? Oh my goodness. Next time we can talk about some other stuff like keep that system going. Oh, Lawrence and ETN. Yeah, okay. All right. Good night. Yeah, fun draft. Good night. I think we're gonna go live in a couple days, and just talk about playoffs. So I enjoyed this. Thank you guys for coming along, and thank you guys for tuning in and commenting a lot. So it was fun. Next time you guys got to actually jump on and we can talk about it instead of just typing about it. So, oh yeah, we're bringing CrossNet Saturday. So, where you want to say goodnight to them? It was Trey. It's just Trey and Toby on here, but it's going to be on the internet forever. Okay. All right. All right, bye guys. End broadcast.